A lot of black people don't have life insurance because if you do something that's considered an unhealthy lifestyle like smoke, either your policy is going to be high, the monthly premium, or they're not going to give you one. Like that's the option because in order to get life insurance, worthwhile policies, you have to be in fairly good health.
Well, let's talk about the life insurance since
Yeah.
you brought it up. I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of life insurance, or just the importance of having it.
Right.
Right. Plenty of times we see people with the GoFundMe and asking for donations, um, because they thought they were young or the person was young that no life insurance was really even gotten. So, as a life insurance person, why do you think a lot of people don't get life insurance at an early age?
Um, when you're young, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, right? Most young people think they're going to live forever. They don't, it's like there's a fear of talking about death, right? There's this thing, I don't want to talk about it. I might manifest it somehow. Some people have these beliefs, right? But here's a hardcore reality. I'm going to tell you the reality from my personal life. Um, when I got married 20 something years ago, my wife and I both got policies, right? Both was young. Me as a young man, policy lapsed. I didn't even remember that it lapsed, right? Out of sight, out of mind. And then in 2010, my mom gets sick,
Wow.
right? My mom gets sick. She had an illness where her liver was shutting down, right? And be running around, and I'm trying to take her to appointments and do all of that stuff. And she said she had a policy, right? So I said, okay, so when that time comes, it should be okay. She passes, right? 2010, she passes. I believe it was the same day Michael Jackson passed. I'm almost certain of that. So my mother passed, and we go to the house and we dig through the stuff and we find a policy. My mother was paying for a whole life policy that was only worth $5,000.
What is a whole life
Whole
policy?
life. So whole life means you're paying for the policy practically for your whole life. The policy lasts your
Mm.
whole life. If you live to be 100 years old, the policy is in effect. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm a life insurance agent in New York, Texas, and Connecticut. The whole life policies tend to be a lower payout,
Mm.
but your monthly premium is higher. That's whole life. They also have universal life, same thing. Index life, same thing. In regards to lower payouts, meaning your death benefit. If somebody passes away, they may say we give you $50,000, right? Your beneficiary would get 50,000. So let me just say this other thing about life insurance. Life insurance is not for you, right? You're buying life insurance, and this is going to tie into the story I'm giving you about my life experience. You're paying for life insurance so you can be buried without your family taking up a GoFundMe or family coming out of pocket to bury you, right? And you have some money left for someone, a dependent, or you have assets to protect. Like you have a house and you might be married. So if you pass away, your spouse is left with the whole burden of the entire house because your income is going down. So life insurance was called income protection.
That was
That's
the
what it's called,
original income.
right? And initially, when it started, it was only term life. No whole life, no universal life, no index life. It was called term life.
And what's term life?
Term life. It's interesting. You get a car, you buy, you get insurance.
Okay.
If you don't have a car, do you need insurance?
No.
So term life is you pay for this insurance for a term in your life, right? 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, up to 35 years in some states. But here's the thing I like about, because I sell term life.
Okay.
This is what I like about term life. the monthly premiums are the lowest. Term life is the most inexpensive life insurance you can get, but it pays out the most. Now, what do I mean by that? Because I'm gonna get a lot of life insurance people who's gonna be like, "Oh, that's false." If comparatively, if you compare policies, term life's payout is greater for less money. Now, they have whole life and index universal life and all these other life policies that can pay you out more money, but you're going to get slaughtered in monthly payments.
So
Some of the monthly payments could be car notes,
wow.
mortgages, right? But in term life, based on your health, right? Based on your health, you can get very inexpensive. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you an example of prices. I got a family member who's 28 years old, a $500,000 term life policy, and he's paying $30 a month for 30 years.
That's not bad. Can some life insurance companies deny you, like you
Yes.
risk?
If you have risky behavior, skydiving, certain things that's risky, they consider if you're not in good health, right? If you're not, so generally you would go take a health screening. They call it parameds. You get a health screening when you're interested in the policy because they want to see, they're going to check you for tobacco. They're going to check you for any medications. They're going to take blood work and they're going to see if you have this stuff in your blood work. And then sometimes they would still let you have the policy, but at a higher rate because you're a higher risk, right? So my thing with the marijuana and all of this is for some reason, we are encouraged to have an unhealthy lifestyle. For some reason, y'all know what the reason is. You're in hip hop, right? We in hip hop. We know what the reason is. We got a lot of weapons formed against us, right? That shall not prosper. But the weapons are there nevertheless. Bad food, bad behavior, bad drinks, sodas, all this stuff, right? We live this unhealthy lifestyle, which means we have a shorter lifespan.
That's yeah.
It translates to that.
Yeah.
We have a shorter lifespan because we have an unhealthy lifestyle and an unhealthy mental state.
Because
right?
we're starting to see a lot of our peers die young, right? So when you used to hear people passing away, it used to be older people, like not in their 40s and 50s now.
Yes.
So, and that's like almost becoming the norm now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Reaching 50 now is a milestone, right? It's a milestone because it's so sad because we're not looking at the consequences from what we're doing.
Right.
And it's going back to what you're saying about they promote the unhealthy lifestyle. Everything is unhealthy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Being a thug is unhealthy. It's no retirement plan in that. It's no safety. Selling drugs it's all these things is unhealthy. And it's promoted in a high fashion. Even, certain things that's on social media. Like, we just partake in so many things.
It's all designed, in my opinion, to get rid of us. Right? It's this wholesale get rid of us and let them kill themselves kind of thing. But let me finish the story about so I gave you a little rundown on life insurance. And again, like, subscribe, share. If you want to schedule an appointment with me in the life insurance, there's going to be a link on the banner, and it's going to also be in the comment section, right? When you look at this video, I'm going to take appointments. You fill out the form. You can take appointments if you want to have a free consultation. I don't just do life insurance, but I'm also studying for my Series 6 investment, right? But the thing is, life insurance is a part of getting your financial well-being straight because it's a financial well-being. And big ups to Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm a subscriber to his channel. I pay money to his platform. He's been a wealth of information. I'm also with Primerica. They're a wealth of information. Big ups. But back to the story. So my mother passes away. We found out that she had only 5,000, right? So being Muslim, you could get a decent burial for 5,500, right? We trying to get this done. One of my sister who took charge, the bill became 12,000. And she said, "Oh, mom had another life insurance policy for additional 4,000." But when they found out that it was just short term, it was short, like she had just applied for it. but she was already unhealthy. And she lied on the form. So they denied that policy. Boom. So we had to come up with the rest of the money. Okay. 2 years after that, my father takes ill. So I asked my dad, well, when my mother died, I took him. I said, hey, Dad, you got a policy? And that made me think about my policy. Remember, I told you I let mine lapse. So I was like, let me go. My wife said, go get a policy. But at that time, I wasn't selling policies. I went and got a policy. I said, Dad, you got a policy? He said, I think so. I said, if you think so, you probably don't have one. He's like, no. Your sister's going to take care of that for me. So I was like, okay, that was weird. Boom. He takes ill 2 years later. He passes away. 0 policy.
Wow.
What my sister told me was they denied his policy that she took out on him because he was already sick. Right? So people paying attention, do not go apply for a policy when you're terminally ill. The point is to get one before that happens, when you're healthy, right? He passes away. His funeral was expensive. We had to come out of pocket.
Again.
A month after he passed, my nephew Artis passed. He was a preemie, and I'm never going to forget his name, right? Artis, he was a preemie. Nobody really gets life insurance on a baby. That's something that nobody does. So I just want to tell you the sequence. 2 months after Artis passed, his grandmother passed. No life insurance. This is my oldest sister. No life insurance. We had to all come out of pocket, bury my sister. Fast forward. Oh, mind you, when my father passed, 17 of my friends or acquaintances died the following year. 17. All right? I'm paying attention to this now. Like, damn, a lot of people dying, right? So much so that when I tried to return to college to finish my degree and told them what happened, and 17 people died, and my father and my sister and my nephew and my mother, they was like, you can't come back to school until you go to therapy. So they put me in therapy. I had to go to therapy for them to approve me to come back to school, right?
Wow.
So that's another thing, right? Mental health, right? 2018, I'm now in college doing my master's degree. My sister, who helped my mother and my father, she passes away. She had life insurance. Her husband took care of that. Cool. It was still shocking. She passed from cancer, and opioids tied into it. They was giving her that for the pain. Pandemic hits. 2020, my brother passed away, and I was close to him, right? No life insurance again. So we all had to take up a collection and just bury him. And nobody had the money because we was on a lockdown. Remember, people lost their jobs. I was laid off from like almost every job. We had to squeeze this money together and just do it.
That seemed like when I was small, it seemed like it was a current thing that a lot of people didn't have life insurance. Like
It's still a thing.
we will be, you'll see the sign up there, donate to Miss Barbara or whoever it was, and
Donate to the family.
yeah, I don't think we looked that much into it.
Because we was young, right? Young people don't have a thought of carrying on and who's left after, or what's left after, right? So my mother left us, we didn't have anything. We didn't get anything other than family members getting a few of her possessions, which wasn't worth a lot, right? It was just things, sentimental value. My father didn't have anything, right? My sister didn't have anything, right? I'm talking about the first sister who passed. My brother didn't have anything who passed, right? And what some people be like, why would I get it? Why would I get life insurance? Because when you die, you leaving a bill. You are literally leaving a hardship for your family. And it was difficult for me because some people I know who passed away was living a best life. They was smoking nice. They was drinking nice. They was having all the drugs they wanted. And they didn't the comparatively, if you got a term life policy, it's almost pennies a day, right?
And people don't want to pay.
I'm talking about term life. It's almost pennies. Like people spend more on sneakers than they spend on a life insurance policy, right? They spend more on a cell phone, a laptop, a game system, video games. They spend thousands of dollars on this, but you could get a policy for $30 a month.
And
And comparatively, depending on your circumstance, but you get a policy for $30 a month.
I think that's a mentality that we have. Of not looking at the future. Like we don't see a future with ourselves. Like
Right.
it's a limited way of thinking, and
But it's a way to shortchange your children, right? The people who come after you. So here's another thing, benefit of life insurance. And I'm not saying this as people should do this as a strategy, but I'm just saying in general. If you have nothing to leave your children, right? Which is a bad thing within itself.
most definitely.
Because you're supposed to be out there and building something to leave your children, right? We fall short as Black people. A lot of us fall short on this part. Life insurance creates an instant estate upon your death. So I said, if you're paying for a policy and you pass away within the 20 to 30 years your policy lasts, and it's $500,000, your beneficiary gets that. Another thing I'm going to tell you, because there's a lot of people going to tell you about a whole bunch of stuff that's tied to life insurance that's really tricky. One thing I'm going to tell you this, I didn't get into life insurance to make me rich. I'm telling you this right now. I don't make a whole lot of money, but I got my siblings' life insurance policies.
I think that's powerful. My pops passed away while I was in prison. Right? That that was impactful. But he had life insurance. When I came home, I was able to start afresh, without stressing about income. Like and that was the turning point for me in my life of how I went in the right direction. And I think if not had that cushion, so to say, or that support, I don't know how it would have turned out.
So this is why they call it income protection, because that you just honed in on the key purpose of life insurance. Life insurance is going to it should give 5 to 10 years of your salary to pay for your dependents in case you pass. So if you get $50,000 a year and you get a $500,000 policy, your family can get that money, and that's equivalent to 10 years of your salary. So you're not struggling like, oh my God, you already got to deal with the loss of a person, right? But you're like, but I'm not desperate, and I can still. So here's some things you could use the proceeds for. I could go get a bachelor's degree and learn a new field that's going to help me earn more money. I can pay for the house or continue the mortgage payments on the house, right? I can take care of these responsibilities. This is not for you to go splurge, right? Be responsible. So financial responsibility and discipline is something some of us need to learn. So this company that I'm with, we also looking for people who want to sell insurance. Primerica, again, you'll see the information below. We're looking for people who are go-getters and want to do this and want to make a living doing it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't make a lot. The reason why I don't make a lot is because I got in it for the reason of getting my siblings life insurance. I can't come out of pocket a sixth time. You understand what I'm saying? Like 5 times or 4 or 5 times, I already did that. It can't be no more of that, especially when people is, they have good employment, they have good job. I can't. It's just irresponsible.
But that's sorry to cut you off. That's what the elder should do, right? It's to give back because you have that wealth of knowledge and that experience to give back.
And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, there's ways to kind of set yourself up properly, right? And to make sure your children are not going to suffer excessively. They're going to suffer from the loss of you. But if they also suffering and they got to come out of their pocket, Well, think about it. Your loved one your partner. Your partner now got to carry all the weight for something that you could have simply solved by getting a policy, and at least they will not have to be towing all the weight because you was responsible enough to pay your monthly premiums, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that if your untimely passing occurs, they're not shell shocked into a traumatic situation.
And it also could be to help heal by getting some type of counseling, right? Because counseling costs a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's there's free counseling, of course, but for real professionals, you might have to pay.
Well, this, when you going through, because I went through this and I had to go to therapy, and they talk about the stages of grief and stages of loss. I didn't know what it was. I just was like, I'm just feeling weird. Like on a personal note, me and my mother didn't have the best relationship, right? My mother passed away, and I go through this every year. On the day she passed, I'm feeling weird.
Mm,
And I don't even remember there was the day she passed because I had a connection with her, right? I did have a connection. She was my mother.
yeah.
So I'm like, why do I feel weird today? And then my wife would say, well, your mother passed on this day. And I was like, oh. So, but going through therapy and talking about those stuff is important too,
Yeah.
right? Especially when I told them 17 people I knew died in the same year, and then several family members. You got to deal with the grief, but it's better to deal with grief and not have a bill attached to dealing with the grief, right? And that's the thing that we do. Like I feel like I'm an older person, right? People think at me. I don't know what you think my age is. Maybe that'd be a good thing. Type in a below how old you think I am, right?
Yeah.
You might be surprised. But people my age, we don't express ourselves the way we feel. We have these saying, oh, don't complain, don't do this. And I believe that to a great extent. But therapy is helpful. But the stress, because I lived through several family members and several friends passing away where they had to take up collections. I don't have money like that.
And people don't look at it like that. You know, you can't you can prepare for something, but if you're not prepared, it can be impactful.
Oh, it's devastating.
You know, because there's you might be the only child and your parent passed away. If there's no life insurance, like how are you gonna maintain an apartment or wherever you live at? Like how are you gonna go through your day to day? Because you might gotta take time off of work. You know, it's so many factors that lead into that. And I want to tie that into something that we also gonna touch on